What's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now in your business that we could all learn from?
Right now, the biggest challenge that we're facing is whether or not we want to shift and change some of our focus from just working with retail investors to possibly working with some institutional investors.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, that get into this space think it's really cool to work with institutional, and they try to do that first. And the problem is most institutional investors don't work with you unless you have a track record and you have multiple full cycle deals under your belt, right? So it's kind of chicken before the egg, right? And so right now we have the track record, we have the bandwidth, and we have the full cycle deals. And so private equity now is coming after us and wanting to place capital with our group. So we're considering opening up a institutional division or arm to allow us to be able to accept institutional capital, which has its own kind of nuances to it, because they have more strings attached to that money, and the splits aren't as good for us as the sponsor. But for us, if it can allow us to go from $1 billion a year to $3 billion or $4 billion in 1 year, then obviously it can allow us to grow a lot faster. So we're considering that right now. And then there's also probably 3 to 4 other asset classes that we're considering adding as well, into our portfolio. And nothing that's going to happen this year, but things that we want to do things strategically. We don't want to do too many things all at the same time. But one of the questions we do get from our investors quite a bit, but we've had a few investors ask it lately is I've put, seven figures plus in your deals now. And now I feel like you're in multiple asset classes. And are you going to be spreading yourself too thin, right? And growing too fast? And the answer to the question is in my medical clinics, I learned a very hard lesson in growing fast. And it was when I grew from 1 clinic to 2 clinics, I took the focus off of the first clinic and moved my entire core team and moved them into that second clinic. And guess what happened to the first clinic? It suffered tremendously. And so I had learned a hard lesson there. Thankfully, it was all my own money that I messed up with there. But I learned from that particular scenario that if I want to pivot and change and move into something else, I need to make sure I have a team that can take on either the original piece or having somebody that can take on the new piece, right? And so when we add on additional business units, if you will, for car wash and hotels and self-storage. And we want to make sure we have a team that can handle that piece of it. Now we don't take our core focus and our core, team on multifamily and take them and shift them into self-storage and shift them into a car wash and hotels. We want to have a separate team for each one of the business units so that we don't change and shift our focus.